Now we're hunting in one of my favorite set of conditions. It's the second day of Pennsylvania's gun season. And a lot of times I really like to sit on opening day. I think out of here, 17, 18 seasons now, I've connected with a buck 13 out of 18 years on opening day. And so I don't get to hunt a lot like this on second day, although I have hunted a lot like this on the second day. And I've hunted with my friends a lot and hiked with them on the second day looking for whitetails. Now we're in a hill country situation that's similar to areas of Wisconsin, Minnesota, all the way over to the East Coast, the UP and Michigan. A lot of areas where you have open hardwoods, open timber, where you can use the terrain to your advantage and hunt. It's a way to cover a lot of ground quickly, and I wouldn't call it still hunting. I'd call it more speed hunting, down to still hunting, down to stopping. And so you have a lot of areas in between. I don't like to waste ground, so I'm not going to move through these ridges quietly and slowly when I'm in between good hunting spots. And good hunting spots are what we're using the terrain. Now this is about a 700 to 800 foot change in elevation from bottom to top. We're up in the top right now. It's middle of the day. We have a heavy northwest wind coming in. It's 27 degrees, 26 degrees. You can see there's a skim of snow. And what I'm using is the terrain to block my access and then also set up areas that I can look at in large quantities to scan quickly. So if I have a ridge line coming down, I'm walking up to that ridge line from the side, and then I'm peeking over. And then I'm scanning ahead for that next flat up on the side of the ridge, or another finger ridge coming down where I can walk quickly to and then look again. Now when we get up to the top of the ridge, like on this point right here, we've done really well. We've actually shot some mature bucks like this, where we're walking down the finger ridge and I have great views on both sides. Now we're placing a premium on the east facing side of the slope because that's the lee side. That's where if I was a buck or a deer, I'd want to tuck up and not be out in these harsh winds. But at the same time, some of these deer get caught down below or they get pushed into those areas. We're looking for deer that are actually bedded down, or they're being moved and they're actually active deer, that mature buck that might be moving through, and he's looking for does. We still have a little bit of the rut hanging on here at the end of November in Pennsylvania. We're in northwest Pennsylvania, but we're looking for deer in general. And so I like to cover this whole thing quickly. I don't want to go down one side, go all the way back down the next side because I'm wasting ground. So what we're doing is we're zigzagging, and I like to look. I'll go over on that side, take a look at the lower benches. I'll try to find a spot where I can walk to a down tree or a big oak, walk in behind it, and then I'll scan that entire area as I'm moving closer. And my goal is if there's a deer down there, the only thing he sees is about from here up. And he's not going to spook. We found that time and time again until he hears us up here, which they're not going to with this wind, and or he sees us. So we're not just walking out and looking. I think sometimes people make the mistake that they're still hunting so much and going so slow that they don't cover enough ground. At the same time, when you're trying to be slow all the time, you end up making mistakes. I find when I make mistakes and I'm not paying attention is when there's a deer and I end up spooking it. So we're taking very defined looks where I'm looking over on that side of the ridge, and then I'm coming back and I'm zigzagging so that I'm approximately 100 yards to 150 yards down from where I looked at this point last. I'm also scanning ahead each time because I might see that I can see 200 yards up and there's no deer. So then I'm going to zigzag down further. But the whole idea is you're not exposing yourself to the deer, you're moving quickly, and you're using the terrain to block your access and to also set up areas that you can view in a large amount of acres so you can cover the ground quickly. Now, one of the things I don't like to do is there's a lot of hunters out here. They're all going in the woods at 7:30, and they're moving back. We have a 3x10 mile area that we're actually hunting here, so a lot of room to move. I'd prefer that I'm either way in the back at daylight, or better yet, we sleep in, have a little breakfast, wait for them to get a couple hours into the woods. I prefer to go in 9, 10, and in that way, there's hunters that are a mile back, 2 miles back, and a lot of times those deer stay in those hollows and pockets. These hollows right here are sometimes a half mile, 3/4 mile long, and so we're looking at deer that have been pushed back by other hunters as other hunters are coming towards us. And then I'm going to end up high up here somewhere and end up walking out in the dark because I want to hunt all the way till light. We have 4 major fingers that we're hunting right here today. Each one of them is either a 1/4 mile to 3/4 mile long. And so that's going to take us several hours. I think we'll be back at it in the morning because I just can't resist, even if we get home late. One of my favorite ways to hunt, using the train to your advantage, using your train to block your access, and also set up large areas where you can view, and also the timing. If there's other hunters in the woods, allowing them to get out first, you following 2-3 hours behind, and enjoying the day and enjoying deer that are on the move or bedded down. When we do find some deer, I'll sit right down and I'll scan for a long time, because does and fawns are often very visible out in the open, and a large percentage of the time there's a buck that we possibly want to shoot within 100 yards off to the side somewhere. So we do see that they do associate with each other. It might not be that the buck is bedding right with the does and fawns, but you can bet if we find some deer, we're sitting down for at least 20 minutes and scanning that area with binoculars and hoping that we find a buck. If not, we're going to leave those deer back out, and who knows, 150 yards down later, we might see that angle where that buck is. Enjoy hunting hills. We're on public land today in Pennsylvania, and you can apply this hunting strategy and using the terrain to your advantage in many different states, especially that feature hardwoods. We're looking at hemlock bottoms. We're hunting that edge from above, and we're trying to do it non-invasively. And who knows, I believe there's a good chance we'll connect on a nice buck today.